Hello and welcome to Business Reporter's The Future of Insurance campaign. I'm Alistair Greener. Insurance underwriters can have a difficult time when it comes to not just acquiring, but also retaining clients. With vehicle insurance, it's almost as if unpleasantness is hardwired into the process, and it can lead to a disheartening experience for customers as well. For a gig economy worker whose livelihood relies on keeping a car on the road, finding the right policy can involve many hours poring over the fine print in insurance contracts. And that's just about the monthly costs. If an accident occurs and a claim needs to be made, a torturous process of red tape awaits. Given all this, it's hardly surprising that customer relationships can often be strained, sometimes to the point that the customer gives up and leaves for another insurer. The underwriter can offset some of the loss by acquiring a new customer at a lower price, but they're back to square one and the story begins again. How can underwriters get off this merry-go-round of compromise? How can they offer the right price and optimize their operations with lower costs? Can they turn frustrated customers into loyal and supported customers? And can they acquire new customers while still retaining existing ones? Insurtech startup Zigo claims that underwriters don't have to compromise and that there's a new way forward for the sector. We've invited Zigo's CEO and co-founder Sten Saar to the studio to find out more. Good morning.
Good morning.
Looking at the insurance industry, what have been some of the biggest trends and the biggest changes when it comes to customer demand?
One of the biggest ones, of course, is the digitalization, how everyone expects everything to happen on their mobile phone nowadays. Secondly, specifically when we look at the gig economy and also the vehicles, is that a lot of vehicles are being used for commercial use. So if you use it for personal use, previously now using a lot for commercial use. And then on top of that, it's got a lot more intertwined, like you're doing your personal tasks, then you're doing work, you're working different amounts at different days and months and so forth. So there's been lots of customer behavioral changes that have happened over the last decade, which insurance companies know very little about.
And how has the insurance industry responded to all the changes that you've been talking about?
Very poorly, to be honest. They don't really understand the risk because technically the risk has changed. If somebody was just either doing commercial work or doing personal work, now they do a mix and they don't understand that. So they have very, very poor understanding what's happening. Secondly, the legacy systems are just killing them because they just cannot offer the solutions they need. And thirdly, they're making lots of money still. The profits are going up, which means that, well, why would you need to change? But the thing is that average insurance policy generally is 12 months long. If somebody designs a perfect insurance product that the customers love, then within a year they will have no customers. And for sure we will see over the next decade some large insurance companies going under because they are not changing to customer needs.
For the customers themselves, how is this lack of response from the insurance industry, how's that manifesting itself in the experience that they see?
They are truly frustrated. Like when there's been several companies who we've spoken to who are just like, they just don't understand why insurance companies can't offer them the solutions they need. And they just are so frustrated. They are being told, take it or leave it and move on. And then secondly, they also feel it's very unfair because a lot of them, in lots of cases, they're being charged. For example, you want to change your address, £20. You want to change your vehicle, £20. And like with majority of the other services, that just doesn't happen. You do it yourself in like 2 clicks and you move on. So there's a lot of unfairness and frustration that customers have with their insurance companies.
You talked there about, £20 to change your address and so on. Give us a whole picture of maybe somebody's experience at the moment. So maybe a form of case study so we get to really understand what's happening.
Let's say you are a person who does delivery work and you've got 2 kids and so you want to work part-time. Today, you have to buy from a traditional insurance company an annual insurance policy for part-time work. It's almost like you want a bottle of water, but you're being asked to buy 2 bottles of water and pay for 2. You can't buy one. It's just not right. It's not logical, and it's not fair. And that's one of the challenges. And so somebody has to actually do hard work in order to pay for the insurance, pay for the fuel, pay for the car, to then start earning some income. And that's not hasn't changed over the last decades when the nature of work has changed.
Why aren't insurance companies responding to what would seem to be quite obvious needs?
One of the reasons is that they just don't understand the risk. If you are a private hire driver, for example, they don't know whether you're working a couple of hours in the evening or you are a full-time driver, or you mostly work during the rush hours in city centre and sit in traffic. The risk massively varies. If you are working at night time, for example, there's a danger for more bodily injuries. If you're sitting in central London traffic, there's only just a few bumps, so the cost of that is very different. And they just don't understand that. They don't know when accidents happen, are they while they're working or not, so they're missing a lot of information. And secondly, the legacy systems are holding them back. They've outsourced a lot of that. They don't control that, even though there's some bright people who want to change things, they just can't. It's just so intertwined and so old. From 60s and 70s, we have to press F1 for one function, F2 for the other, black screens with green font. It's just not working anymore.
So if you were looking at the industry, what would you say is the core problem here? Is it down to business methods need changing, or is it technology?
It's really technology. Technology will dictate business methods or processes. So if you actually fix the technology, then you've already improved the processes on top of that.
Given that, tell us a little bit more about your solution and how Zigo works.
We offer solutions for customers who use vehicles to earn money, be it a private hire driver, delivery driver, be it they're self-employed or a large corporate. And our solution works based on how much work they're doing. It's very flexible. If you're working 1 hour or if you're working 40 hours, we charge accordingly. We link with your work providers and your systems, so we understand exactly when you're working, when you're not working, and you only are being charged for exactly for the period that you need that specific insurance for.
Again, we talked about a case study of it not working particularly well. So give us an idea of a client of yours where this is all working, where you have that flexibility, where you have that understanding.
Yeah, so when someone decides to do work where they use their vehicle, they sign up with Zigo. It's all online on the app, whichever they prefer. It's very intuitive and simple. Then they work and they're being charged. 1 week they work 1 hour, the other week they work 20 hours, they're being charged accordingly. Let's say then they have an accident at the traffic light, someone hits them from the back. Then immediately when we find out through the data that comes through that they've stopped working, we stop charging, first of all. Second of all, because they use the vehicle to earn money, we then organize a replacement vehicle as soon as possible so they can continue earning money. And then, of course, we'll keep them up to date as the claim process evolves, at what stage it is, when they are expected to get the vehicle back, and so forth. So we truly communicate with the customers so that they know where they are.
Tell us a little bit more about Zigo. Who are you and how did you come about and so on?
Yes, so we started 4.5 years ago, and there was a real problem and real need because the delivery company struggled to hire people, and insurance was a real hurdle. When we told about the idea of kind of a flexible insurance to lots of people around us, that they said it's a great idea. Told lots of insurers, they said it's a terrible idea. Until now, they all are very keen on what we're doing, and we are around over 200 people in 4 or 5 different countries. And we are a true technology company and use the data to really offer great solutions for our customers.
You've talked a lot about the change that needs to happen with the insurance industry, and you're showing how you've brought that change about, but it's going to keep on going. So what about the future? What's next for Zigo?
We definitely have a plan to grow and grow across Europe as much as possible, plus also continue growing in the current markets and do additional motor products to help customers.
Now, a lot of startups will say they're different, they're changing the face of the insurance market. How would you respond when people say, oh, this is just another startup?
Well, we've raised over $50 million of funding. We have insured more than 200,000 vehicles. Every second food delivery that's being out there today is insured by Zigo. So we definitely know what we're doing. We know and understand the risk, and we built the technology to really take it from strength to strength. So I think there's enough proof points to date, and we have some incredible investors behind us who want us to take this solution to customers around the world.
Where do you see the pressure points being on the insurance industry over the next 5-10 years?
It's definitely understanding the risk part, because risk is changing. For example, 7 years ago, using a mobile phone or distraction from mobile phone didn't exist. Today, 60-70% of the accidents are happening because of distraction of a handset. In 5 years' time, there could be some dashboards in cars, could be something very different why accidents are happening. So insurance companies really need to stay in tune with this and be a step ahead, because otherwise they'll be just paying out a lot of losses.
We've talked a lot about how the industry is changing and the need for them to respond to the changing market. For our audience watching, if they could just remember 3 things from this interview, what would you like them to remember?
Yes. First, industry has changed, whether you like it or not. Secondly, listen to their customer. Their needs have changed. And thirdly, the technology is out there to use it. So drop the legacy and start using the new technology.
Well, you've given us a real key point plan there of what needs to be done within the industry, and it's been really interesting to see how the real pressure is mounting on the industry to change at the moment. So it's been great finding out more. Sten Saar from Zigo, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.